What is education? Books? Classes? Teachers? Schools? No. Education is not that. It's beyond this. Education is a term that we have grown up listening to since we were kids. Right from the beginning of childhood till this very moment, we have been surrounded by education and its need and importance. A luxury for the rich. A necessity for the bread earner. A dream for the underprivileged. An aspiration for the suppressed. A distant reality for the inaccessible. The primary objective of education is to impart knowledge. Education also has its fair share in building the thinking capacity of people's minds. Hence, education supplies people with knowledge and facts and also encourages them to integrate that acquired knowledge into practical and professional lives via necessary training. Education, thus, also plays a primary role in supporting the economic, social and cultural sector of a country. It's a way to change the future today. The current education system can make people easy to lead, but difficult to drive, is either all academic, all physical, all virtual, or all costly. Also, it makes easy to govern, but impossible to enslave. We cannot win over the future by sabotaging our present with extreme disparity. IIU takes great pride in saying that we're bridging the gaps in education system. We're not just academicians, but also practically oriented. We're not just limited to virtual classes, but also physical exposure. We do not dig a hole in the pockets of the students and their families. We're everything that traditional education hasn't been. IIU has already implemented and promoting the MOOCs technology. When we talk about MOOCs technology, it stands for Massive, Open, Online Courses. The word massive is to be understood in the sense that 100,000 learners or more at the same time have open and equal opportunities to attend these courses. MOOCs are truly a tremendous technological leap, and what makes them so attractive is that they don't imply any cost to learners. IIU has tied up with more than 100 universities to provide more than 10,000 courses to the students, free of cost, with the help of MOOCs technology. We're a revolution in the making, a wind of change. Education is much more charming and intriguing than the temptations of distractions unnecessary. Our education policymakers must look into the problem to make a better system which is more practical and provides hands-on learning to the students. Who are we? The International Internship University is a virtual university with state-of-the-art curriculum, real-life industry exposure, amazing student attention, learning-oriented resources, and most of all, a commitment to make the world a better place. Why do we exist? We exist to fulfill the necessity of the bread earner. We exist to help underprivileged achieve their dreams. We exist to fuel aspirations and accessibility. We exist to provide everyone the luxury of being capable of changing the world. We really do exist to ignite young minds and make them the torchbearers of tomorrow. For a better future. For the legacy of everyone who's left us. For the hope of everyone who's yet to come, and for the growth of everyone who walks this beautiful planet. We invite you to join our world-class educational team and platform with an altruistic dedication to creating the future. The change is so big that it would potentially impact millions across the world. Millions of children and youth around the world cannot wait any longer. Please join us in our effort to create the virtual learning generation of IIU. We're IIU, we're change. Welcome to our world, a new tomorrow.
Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and to each one of you. I am so excited and very much eager to welcome you all for today's evening, morning, and afternoon. I, Dr. Snigdha Kadam, President Global Academic Council and IIU Research Center India of International Internship University, take the privilege to welcome you all to the first batch of the Mentor Development Program organized by the International Internship University. So I think each one of you present over here deserves a round of applause for being registered here for this wonderful program and the opportunity. Knowledge is the power. Information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family, and the entire world. Knowledge will bring you the opportunity to make a difference. So, welcome to the world of knowledge and education. The International Internship University, IIU, is building a better and brighter future for all the young learners and is committed to providing quality, accessible, affordable, skill based virtual education to all the young learners of the globe with the aim to provide internship opportunities and research facilities. IIU is the metamorphosing conventional education system by cutting down the additional cost and providing access to more than 1,000 plus courses and internship to their e-learners across the globe. IIU has been accredited and affiliated with the World Education Organization WEO and International Accreditation Organization IAO and collaborated with all the top universities and educational institutions through the platform of massive open online courses, that is MOOC. IIU provides various certificate courses, diploma courses, graduation, post graduation, post honorary doctorate, and many more courses. IIU has received many accreditations as per the international standards for its innovation, vision, creative ideas, research, and white paper publication. The purpose of IIU is to make good human beings with skill and expertise. Hats off to all the team members of the IIU for their dedication and hard work. The vision of IIU is to let the torch of knowledge illuminate the world. There is always that one person who has the vision, the thought, the idea behind a successful venture and organization. And if we talk about the man behind the success of IIU, is none other than our beloved Indian co-founder, Piyush Pandit sir, a committed and inspired social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades, providing education to the students from various social and cultural backgrounds, possessing excellent administrative and verbal communication, return skills. He is a next gen speaker and a passionate writer. The versatile personality is the founder of Swarna Bharat Parivar and chairman of Piyush Group. He has received a plethora of awards and recognition in the acknowledgement of his contribution to the social education, social work, entrepreneurship, and so on. The list of his milestone is endless. The sky is the limit for his dedication and hard work. Mentor is someone who allows exploring the hope inside the individual. Today, we have a personality who speaks, trains, coaches to meet the needs of individuals, associations, businesses, and organizations. Yes, he is none other than Dr. Kevin Ward from USA. Drawing on to his vast experience as a former school teacher, speaker, trainer, coach in business and military settings, Dr. Ward helps his clients identify their personal and professional needs. He speaks on leadership, workforce, and education. Dr. Ward holds an honorary doctorate in education from IIU. He is also the country director of USA for International Internship University. He has been a featured speaker for multiple IIU events. He is a teacher trainer and has already provided teacher training for IIU and numerous other organizations. So, herein we welcome you Dr. Kevin Ward, sir, on this virtual platform. Dear all, let's begin the session to be a mentor, a role model, and to set an example with our trainer for the day one of the batch one of Mentor Development Program. Dear Kevin, sir, the platform is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I am excited to be here today with all of you. You are taking a great first step to become a second component for learning for any one students of any type as a mentor, because we start with knowledge that we give to our students, but we have to then help those students learn about application, real world. And so I'm excited. I'm looking forward to spending about an hour with you all, an hour and 15 minutes, and hope that by the time we are finished, that you will have a good introduction to what it means to be a mentor. A couple of housekeeping notes, if you will, is I would ask that you do two things. One of them is to be sure and keep your camera on if possible, because that helps me as a trainer, as a teacher. I like to be able to see people's faces because it helps me to understand whether or not you're understanding what I am sharing, as well as help me be responsive to your questions, comments. Ask you to also mute your mic unless you need to say something, have a question. Of course, feel free to unmute at that point. And that way we avoid distractions for anyone involved. So without any further ado, I want to move forward and see if we can learn a bit about mentoring together. So what we're going to be talking about is an introduction to mentoring and some of the characteristics and the qualities of a mentor, and as well as the benefits to both the mentor and the student. Can everyone see my screen all right? Seeing some nodding of heads, so that must be a good thing. So we're going to be talking about developing a mentoring program, what the benefits are, and the benefits to the mentor, because this is not just about value to the mentee, and some of the characteristics of a mentor. So developing a mentoring program is about formalizing the relationship with your mentee, and do so in a professional manner. And then it's also about offering a structured setting in which to develop one-on-one relationships between students and professionals. And also part of developing developing a mentoring program is acting as a teacher and guide to the real world. And mentors have the opportunity to encourage and advise students and experiences and knowledge in HR or in any profession. And the key here for you as a mentor is that you're going to be able to help your students or mentee become or apply in the real world. As a longtime teacher, educator, trainer, one of the things that I see in education that are challenging to young people especially is they lose interest because they become bored. And the reason that they become bored quite often is because they do not see the relevance to what they're doing in real life. And that becomes a problem. So being able to help these young people and it's not just true of young people, most anyone learning, but helping them to see the real world value, the real world application of what they are learning is such a key. One of the pieces of IIU that I especially like is the fact that the education is not just about theoretical. It's not just about gaining knowledge, but it's how to do something with the knowledge we gain by giving our students the experience that they need and how to use their learning. So we're going to talk about the benefits to the student. We're going to talk about the benefits to the mentor, and we're going to be talking about qualities of a mentor. So again, encourage you as we go along. I really like to have questions and engagement, so don't feel like that you have to just sit quietly. I really enjoy addressing those because I know then that when you are asking questions, that helps me to know if I'm missing anything. So benefits to the student. You're going to be giving them an opportunity to explore the world of work through interaction with other professionals. Obviously, you're a professional in your own right, but part of the mentoring process is to help the young people get to know other people so that they can begin to understand networking and the value of that. And what we want to help them do as a mentor is to learn from our experience and how to take the textbook answers and move those concepts into real life. I'm sure that most of you have experienced, you get your education and you have all this knowledge that you learn from books and tests and things, and then you get out in the real world, and one of the first few situations you encounter, it wasn't in the textbook. Any of you experienced that? Yes, no? I do like to see you respond, nod ahead, raise your hand.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I think
Yes.
most of us have experienced that first situation when we moved into our life and our career, where the textbook didn't have the exact answer we needed. Well, that's the value of where a mentor comes in, because then you can help that mentee get some insight and begin to learn how to learn how to then solve problems based on what the foundation they have that didn't fit the textbook. And then another value that we're going to have with our mentees or students is that we're going to help them understand what corporate protocols are about and understand professional behaviors, professional expectations, and be able to function in the professional world. And I'll tell you, having worked with many young people and even not so young people, that's a challenge, is learning how to work in a professional fashion. And one of the challenges there is when we're in an environment that is not necessarily as demanding professionally, that we lose sight that whether others do it or not, that we want to behave as professionals and what that involves. And another benefit to the student is that we're going to help them identify long-term professional development needs. Quite often, as we mentor people, we find out that they aren't even real clear on their own needs, because again, like we all are when we start out, we may or may not even have the ability to ask the right questions because we aren't even sure what the right questions are. So we're going to help those mentors be able to look at understanding, as the old saying goes, help them understand what questions they even need to ask along the way. Another value to the student is you helping them to learn how to network. And there is, done well, there is a lot more to networking than just to being, for example, on social networking. Having been a long time networker on LinkedIn professional platform, I have come to learn both the value of it and the responsibility with it. And as a mentor, you have the option to help new people, young people come along and get engaged in those networking opportunities so that they can benefit from those interactions. As a professional, we know how important that is, right? Okay. And what we're going to help them do as a mentor is we're going to help develop meaningful professional relationships. And we want to help them understand that that's not an instant event. That takes time. It takes building relationships. And we as a mentor can provide that benefit to a student. How is everyone doing? Do we have any questions at this point? Give you permission to ask. I know some people are afraid to jump in and ask questions. Everybody good? Okay, I see some nodding heads. That helps me. Oh, thumbs up. Thank you. As a trainer teacher, that's something you want to learn to do, is to engage with your audience and get their feedback. A couple of reasons you want to do that is that, one, you just need to know how you're moving along. The other is you want to make sure you haven't bored people to falling asleep. That doesn't work well. Okay. So there are benefits to you as a mentor, and it's a real value. The nice thing about mentoring is it's a two-way street. As much as you give to the mentee or student, you get back in growth yourself, including leadership skills. As a leadership trainer, I see the real value as a mentor to develop those skills. And even if you're already a leader, the more you are involved in mentoring, the more you get the opportunity to develop those skills, hone them, improve them. And so that is one of the value returns to being a mentor. One of the other areas that you benefit as a mentor is you improve your own communication skills. In our current world, one of the biggest challenges we all face is effective communication. I know that as a teacher trainer, as a leader in the business world and the education world, I am constantly trying to improve as a communicator. And one of the things that helps in that, and this is something I am personally, professionally working on, is learning how to be an active listener. Very important. And then when we think in terms of communication skills, especially as we, as part of IIU, seek to work on a virtual platform, our communication skills become even more important, especially in the written realm, because when we are writing only, do not get to use verbal prompts, we can readily get misunderstood, taken out of context, because the additional context isn't there. So as a mentor, you will have opportunity to grow relative to your communication skills. An additional benefit as a mentor is that you're going to get new perspectives. I know that as a teacher, one of the interesting things was learning current culture of young people. When I began teaching, I had to learn a lot about things that I did not know I would need to learn in order to be able to help the young people learn, such as learning more about music, learning more about gaming, learning more about even things like hobbies such as skateboarding, things like that, because that helped me to make what I wanted them to learn as relevant. So it helped me with new perspectives, also challenge to learn those perspectives as a mentor, and began to also adjust our own perspectives. A mentor also benefits by advancing your career. Anytime that you can develop additional leadership skills, communication skills, and perspectives, that opens the door for you to grow in your career and move forward as well. So again, benefits of being a mentor are definitely there. It's not just about giving. If we mentor well, we receive a lot in return. And of course, anyone that has done teaching, mentoring, helping young people, one of the primary drivers is personal satisfaction. And I was even training in a class last evening here, and I shared with the class that I was working with that part of what motivates me is seeing people's face light up, or as what I like to call light bulb moments. You see a young person that you're working with, and you see that expression of, oh, now I get it. That is what helps motivate us along, and it brings a lot of great personal satisfaction to experience that. And as a mentor, you will get to do that a lot. Okay, so some of the characteristics. We've talked about the benefits of being a mentor. So let's talk about some of the characteristics of a mentor. One is a good leader. Good listener, another L word. And I mentioned it earlier. As a mentor, a leader, I suggest that we all really work actively to become active listeners. It is a challenge. Some of us, like myself, I have a tendency to be what in current terms would be considered ADD. And in fact, I share jokingly that in my family, we call what I am OSTD, oh shiny thing disorder. And it is, so I'm easily distracted. And therefore, being a good listener sometimes is a conscious effort on my part. I've even had to teach myself some physical stances, demeanors to be an effective listener. A couple of them that are very helpful that most of us can help use is, of course, eye contact. We know the value of eye contact. Sometimes it's necessary, for example, that you put your hands, fold your hands together or something like that to, again, focus on being a good listener. Any questions so far? Don't want to get too far ahead. Don't want to, for those that might be taking notes, don't want to leave you behind and get you frustrated. All right. Anybody? Okay. Another characteristic of a good mentor is to give constructive feedback. And giving feedback is a challenge because sometimes, especially if we're frustrated with our student, we want to just say some things that, such as, you don't get this, do you? Or did you really say that? Or did you really ask that? And it's not constructive. So learning how to be constructive in feedback is very important. And that includes, and this is a challenge, is watching our nonverbal cues when we respond to people that we are working with as a mentor. We have to learn how to keep a straight face sometimes so that we maintain constructive feedback and not negative feedback. And so being purposeful in that, if you're not familiar with the different techniques to giving constructive feedback, there are courses on that, a lot of good information out there. And if we ever have time to go deeper into it, we can talk about that. One of the other things that as a mentor, very important that you take a personal interest in the mentee, in the person we're mentoring. Such a critical piece because as a mentor teacher, one of the biggest lessons I learned years ago was the aspect of caring. If you're trying to mentor someone and you're just doing it to check off a box or fulfill an obligation and you really don't care about that person, they're going to know it. They're going to sense it. And by doing so, you're going to really limit your ability to lead them, guide them, help them move forward. And so just really make a choice to find out about them and to take an interest. Even, this is a challenge, even in areas that are not necessarily interesting to you. Again, being an effective mentor, they've got, the mentee has to sense that you care and are interested. All right, another characteristic of a mentor is being enthusiastic about their role. And I used to struggle with this as a teacher because I thought that meant I've got to be able to be entertaining all the time. And as we say here in the US, being able to do a little song and dance and put on a show, and even go so far as to be kind of the funny person in the room. And that's not me. And I realized that's not what enthusiasm is about. Enthusiasm's about being able to really dig into the interest of that person and to be excited about what we have to offer. You know, if we're not excited about it, they're not going to likely be real excited themselves. So if you're going to be a mentor, you need to think, okay, I'm really here to do this and I want to do it well. And I want ultimately to be able to impact the life of a mentee. And another characteristic, and this is another challenging one, is to treat others with respect. Because sometimes in our role as a mentor, we are going to struggle because initially the person may not have earned respect or behave in a respectful manner. And being able to set those aside and share respect because of our choice is so important. That means at times setting aside our own thoughts and feelings in order to demonstrate that respect, to develop mutual respect with the mentee. And so these are some of the characteristics of being a good mentor. How many of you have had the opportunity or made the choice to develop your listening skills? Anybody? Okay. All right. One of my favorite sayings is that we have a design priority, and that design priority is we have 2 ears, 2 eyes, but only 1 mouth. And that's by purpose. And so being a good listener is important. How many of you have had the opportunity to give feedback? Yeah. Okay. Were you able to do it constructively? That's a challenge because sometimes it's hard to be constructive when people behave the way they do. And how many of you are ready to enthusiastic about being a mentor? Yeah. Some of you look like, maybe. Yeah, one of the beauties of being a mentor is watching lives change as you work with someone. It is just such a satisfaction. All right, so let's move on forward. Another thing, and this is sometimes what we don't understand, and by the way, a mentor is a form of leadership, and any leader effectively must be a teacher. And as a mentor, you're going to be a teacher that because you need to be able to help your mentee learn. And what I encourage any leader, mentor, otherwise, to take some time to learn some of the concepts of teaching. I know IIU has offered, we had sessions a few weeks ago about becoming a teacher, and it was an opportunity for anyone that wanted to be able to learn how to some of the skill sets. So I would encourage you, if you haven't had the opportunity to get that training, to consider it, or to at least search out about being a good teacher, because being a skilled teacher is a necessary characteristic of a mentor. Boy, this next one is such a big part that we have to learn, and that is about being a responsible being. That is for leaders, for mentors, for anybody, being responsible. And it's a challenge, because in our world, much of what happens in our world is not taking responsibility. What I encourage mentors, teachers, leaders is to demonstrate responsibility to the point of being extreme almost. If my mentee doesn't succeed, I take full responsibility for it as a leader. So just really work on knowing ways to not only take the responsibility, but help your mentee understand that that is your mindset, that you are very responsible. This is another challenging one in our world, and that's being non-judgmental. And I think we end up in a problem with being judgmental quite often because we don't take time to get context. I have finally, it's only taken me a few decades to get here, but I'm finally learning how to respond with measured responses. And that means before I react to someone, I find out more of the context of the situation. Could be just a miscommunication. It quite often is our judgment. Being judgmental is because we assign intentions to people's behaviors when they may or may not be the intention of the person. And so as we learn to be non-judgmental, when we learn to remove assumptions of intent, it helps us to respond better. Anyone ever struggle with that one? Make a quick judgment on somebody? Yeah, me too. And I have to watch and slow down and say, okay, there may be more to this before I open my mouth and say something I'll regret or react and do something I'll regret. I need to back up, get the context, and go from there. All right. Also, characteristics is important that you have some expertise in the field that you're mentoring in. And that's important because it doesn't mean you have to be fully arrived and the best expert in it, but at a minimum, you have to be further down the road with your expertise than your mentee. When I first went into teaching, it was a little bit scary because I thought, well, what if they know more than I do? And that challenged me to make sure that I knew what I was doing. And not only was I teaching, but I was teaching about a career. And so I had to make sure that I had developed and, by the way, maintained that expertise. So I have to stay current. And so I encourage you as a mentor to, depending on which area you are mentoring in, to keep current, move forward and grow in that area and maintain your expertise. And then, of course, what is really nice about being a mentor and necessary is taking pride in your work. And I'm not talking about here, and sometimes we think of pride as ego and becoming arrogant. Not talking about that, because if you're going to be an effective mentor, that's not a good place to be. We're talking about satisfaction in a job well done, and really take efforts to be excellent in what we do. So, all right, how we doing? Any questions so far? Either I'm doing a thorough job or I have put you to sleep. I don't know. What do you think? Okay, we'll keep going. Please feel free to ask questions as we go along. So qualities of a good mentor is having relevant experience or knowledge and expertise. You want to make sure that what you're mentoring your mentee in, that you know what you're talking about. You want to have enthusiasm for even sharing it. If you're just going through and checking the box off, okay, I had my mentoring session today and we took our time and we are, got done what I need to so I can move on with that obligation, you're going to have difficult time reaching your mentee. A respectful attitude, very important. And sometimes as a, shall I say, a person of maturity that I am, sometimes I observe things and it can be a challenge to have a respectful attitude towards some of what I observe. But as a mentor, I have to learn to set that aside and move forward. And then an eagerness to invest in others, because what we do as mentors is we're pouring ourselves into another person. And having an eagerness for that, a real drive, is very important quality. Sometimes, and this is we know we're supposed to give constructive feedback, and sometimes we have to be very direct, and even the level of honesty just has to be very strong, okay? And part of the value of a mentor is, yes, we want to be encouraging and giving a mentee hope, but we also want to be that person that loves them enough to look at them and say, no, that's not a good choice. That's not the best direction. And that's a tough thing to do at times. What I have helped myself to realize is that if we really care about someone, we are willing to give that honest feedback, even if we risk offending them. And sometimes that's necessary. But if we do it in the total context of being an effective mentor, the relationship will survive. It may be challenged, but it is necessary to be willing and to give honest and direct feedback. One term I've heard used is brutal honesty, and that's part of being a good mentor. Another quality of being a good mentor is reflective listening and empathy. If we can't identify with the mentee, we are going to have problems. I know it's very big deal these days to talk about being empathetic, and some of us are more natural at it than others. But if you're not as strong in that area, then learn some of the techniques to become empathetic. And quite often what we find is if we take the time to learn about people, being empathetic becomes easier. Most of us, especially if as we get later in life, if you will, that we've had enough experiences, if we're thoughtful about it, that we can understand and listen. We may not have had that exact experience along the way, but we've had similar, and we can then listen and identify with it, be empathetic. And the other quality of a good mentor is a willingness to be the term is sponsor, but what that means is that we are willing to get behind them. In other words, not just tell them what to do, tell them how to do it, but to walk through it with them. And that makes a huge difference. If we can learn to not just give advice, but to help walk through how to apply the advice, that's such a key part of being a good mentor. Have any of you ever had a situation where you try to identify with someone and at first it doesn't seem to connect, but then as you stop and listen and think it through, you find relevant experiences in your own life that help you identify with that more? Yeah, back to and one of the keys there is listening and attitude about it. And when we do that, it becomes easier to do. Okay, so we've covered a lot of material here. What I would like to do is I want to stop sharing my screen and get back with everyone. Quite often, I find when we do training sessions, we do training right up to the very last minute and do not have room for discussion. So what I would like to do is open up to everyone the opportunity to ask questions, make comments, and that includes doing so by opening up your mic. So here we go. What are some of your questions or comments about what we've covered as being a mentor? If you have something to say, just unmute, speak up.
Yeah, dear, sorry, Dr. Kevin, to interrupt you in between. I feel it's a very first step to ask the questions in the mentor development training session. So be confident, do not be shy, and just go ahead. Please ask your queries, questions. The platform is all yours.
And I've learned how to wait people out, just by the way. So if you need a minute to kind of get your courage up to ask your question. By the way, one of the things I've learned, and you should learn as a mentor, is that if there's one person that has a question, probably there are others. Okay, go ahead. If you have a question, just unmute. You don't even have to raise your hand. Go ahead, please, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. It's been an inspiring session, a very, very good one. Thank you. You're doing wonderfully well, and it's well understood. But I will need some clarifications on the developing mentoring programs. I didn't get that part very well because I was trying to take a note and I didn't get it. So I'll just need that part. Thank you very much.
Okay, you want more on the part of developing the program?
Yeah, developing mentor program.
Okay, let me get back to my information here so that I can reference, and bear with me here just a moment, and we'll get that up and we'll walk back through it. And I appreciate that, by the way. The value of saying, hey, I missed something is such an important thing for any of us. Let's see how, so let me get, find my,
Hello.
Yes.
Dr. Pratik here. I have one question.
Yes.
What to consider before mentoring?
Okay. I tell you what, if you would hold that question for just a moment, let me go back through developing a mentoring program. And one of the things that we looked at, it didn't go a lot in depth into the processes, more about what it means to develop a mentoring program. But what you want to do to develop an effective mentoring program is structure. Okay. Very important that you have structure for it, who you will mentor, how often, how long, and it's a good thing to have association with an organization such as IIU to have the structure for that, or join other associations that are designed for mentoring. There are a lot of community programs out there. I think also of one that I think it's pretty world renowned is something like Toastmasters, and maybe working with someone through that process, but having a structure for it is very important. Did that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, you have. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Yep.
Now then, Dr. Pretik, tell me again what your question was.
Hello.
Yes.
What to consider before mentoring? That's my question.
A couple of things you need to consider is, are you prepared to invest the time and to invest the energy? And then before you mentor, what are you going to mentor? Are you going to mentor someone in particular professional skills, or are you going to mentor someone in life skills? Just a couple of considerations. We don't want to just say, okay, I'm going to start mentoring someone without some specific direction and having clear vision about it, and so on. So those are some of the considerations before becoming a mentor. One of the things that I mentioned that was part of being a mentor is being a teacher. So it may be before that you need to ask yourself, are you prepared to have some teaching skills to share and bring someone along the best way possible? So those are some of the things I would think of. Anyone else have anything to add to that? And thanks for the chat comment about building rapport. Yes, that is indeed an important part of being a mentor. Okay. Let's see here. I'm having some technical difficulties. Bear with me a moment. I hit the wrong button and my screen disappeared. Okay, I'm back. All right, other questions at this point? Comments? Part of being a mentor is you recognize that we can learn along the way as well. So hearing from you helps me learn as well. In an audience of 30, I have to think there are additional questions or comments. I'm going to keep this open because there's somebody trying to determine that they can speak up or open their mic. It's okay. You're among friends. Okay, the question is, where's the attendance form? I believe it's in the chat. I believe it's been posted there. So everybody is ready to go and be a mentor, huh?
Okay, I just want to say something else. According to the mentor, this is an amazing program. Great. I really like it. But I want to say, in my country, in Croatia, how we like teachers, professors are going to be a mentor. In our education system, after 5 years of full-time working, you can be a professor mentor. After that, 5 years again, you can be an advisor. And after that, you can be an excellent advisor. But for getting that titles, you must you have some rules, you know, and you must get points. Like to be a mentor, you must have 40 points, 40 points in different parts. What it means? It means that you must be qualified. You need to make many lectures, many workshops, projects. You need to make good things for the educational system. So really, you must work whole day, and always to be that. And what is that satisfaction to be a mentor and to get that advancing here? It is because when you are a mentor, you have a bigger wage, and that is a satisfaction for the educators, because everybody knows that we are not paid very well for the job we are doing. That I want to say. So because this learning for a mentor is how we will improve our communication skills, leader skills, and others. And I really like this. But I want to say that to know that how in my country and my education system you can be a mentor.
Thank you, Nada. I appreciate that. And you're so right. And to Dr. Pratik's question, it's important before you look to become a mentor is understand in your environment, in your situation, what are the requirements?
Right.
And depends on your situation, the association that you have, as to what those requirements are and whether or not you meet them, or whether or not you want to subscribe to those requirements. So very great point. Thank you. That's good information to consider. Okay, let's see how we're doing. We got a few minutes left before I will kind of wrap up and summarize, but I do want to hear any other questions or comments, because by the way, part of what I'm trying to help you get a concept of is being an effective mentor is not monologuing, talking only to. You have to be willing to hear back. You have to get that feedback. And even if you have to allow the situation to be a little uncomfortable. As a trainer and a speaker, one of the hardest things to do is to just stop and be silent and wait, because that makes everybody feel uncomfortable, but sometimes you need to do that. So I'm going to wait just another minute to give opportunity for questions, comments. All right, because of time, now I see someone with the raised hand. Does that mean you're ready to say something, or is that
Hello.
just okay? Speak up, please.
Yes, I have another question.
Okay.
How do you structure a mentoring conversation? That's my question.
Okay, a mentoring conversation. Wow. What you want to consider is the purpose of the conversation, first of all. And one of the things that I have taught teachers and mentors over the years is that having just a conversation for the sake of a conversation, or telling stories just for the sake of telling stories, is not the best thing. There has to be a purpose in it. So the question becomes, what is the purpose that you're trying to accomplish with the conversation? And then once you understand that, then you know how to structure it. The question becomes, do you structure it with a lot of question and answer, or do you tell a story related, or whatever? But you start out with, what do you want to accomplish in the conversation? So that's how I go about structuring it. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Very good. So in honor of our time, are we a hard stop at the hour straight up? Want to make sure that I don't shortchange time, because I can having been a speaker and everything, I can go forever, but I want to be respectful of your time. Okay, so I believe it's a good time to kind of summarize, and what we've been talking about is an introduction to mentoring. The idea is to give you a foundation, because what will happen with the next sessions is you're going to get more information on how to build a mentoring program and how to develop it, grow in it, and grow as a mentor. So what we've done today is just lay a foundation of the concept or idea of developing a mentoring program. You've found out the benefits that are gained by both you as the mentor as well as your mentee. And then we've looked at some of the qualities and roles of you as a mentor. So that's what we're after today. And as you continue on in the next sessions, then we'll build on that. So unless we have further questions at this point, I believe we're up against our stopping time. Anyone else? One last chance. All right. Any closing remarks from our moderator?
Sir, no remarks. It was an excellent and informative session. Really, thank you so much. But one thing I would like to say, we want participants to ask more questions. Then only we will be able to train you in a better way. Because this is a very comprehensive training to be a mentor, and mentoring is not a very easy job. We cannot be a mentor unless and until we practice it from the day one. That's what, as an individual, I feel so. So you all are free to ask your questions. Professor Charles, any questions for you to ask?
Very clear and great. There's no questions. Very simple, explicit, nice, great, excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yes, one of the things that as a mentor, as you grow into it, you're going to learn to appreciate questions and encourage questions to be asked at every turn. I assure you, one of the things, I am actually teaching a group that are starting a 4-year training program. And every time I talk to them, I tell them to ask questions. Now, Dr. Barbara, did you have a question or comment? You got your hand raised there.
Dr.
Yes,
Karen,
Professor.
can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I suggest now we should take their names, then only they will speak out. Right? Yes?
Okay, there you go.
Thank you so much. If you noticed, hello everyone. If you noticed, I kept nodding and I kept chuckling with me because I could reckon with all of what you talked about. It was very, very right on point, because how I'm able to do this is actually I'm a marriage facilitator. I think it's all in the line of mentoring also. But whilst you talk about trying to empathize and understand the mentee and strike up a conversation in getting to, get started with relating to whomever this mentee is, I could reckon with that, because I found that each time I got into the class, one of the things I did in trying to align with the psyche of my students was striking up a conversation to understand at what level their mentality, so to speak, so we can be on same page. And then it was a bit difficult. This is very important to us as a divorcee. Teaching people about marriage is very difficult. So the first thing I did was to tell them my status. And everybody's like, hey, what's she going to tell us? And I tell them how much so that I am the best person to teach them because I've been on both sides of, things. And then when I began to tell them more and more and more, they're like, please, can you take us in the other classes? So I can reckon with all of this. Thank you so much for reaffirming this in me, my confidence and everything. Thank you, Dr. Kevin.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I'm happy about this part.
Oh, thank you. And one of the differentiations between teaching and mentoring, one of my struggles as a teacher has always been being able to know each of my students well. Well, the value of mentoring generally is going to be you get to dig further in and understand your mentee a lot more than you can with a classroom group. So one of the really rewarding things is to get to know them and be able to talk in their world and in a way that they can relate, and then you can better relate what you have. So yes, that's a great point. Nada, I believe you've got a comment.
Yes, I want to ask once again, Dr. Kevin, please, if you can come back on the slide, where are the characteristics of a good mentor? Because tomorrow we will continue. So let's see, do we really have that characteristics?
All right. Yes, I am happy to do that. Let me share my screen with everyone so you can see it as well. Okay. And we can step back through those items.
Yes.
Okay. Characteristics of a good mentor is good listener, able to give constructive feedback.
That is what we must have now, a constructive feedback for you. Okay.
Okay. Personal interest in the mentee. Okay, he's got to give you context. Enthusiastic about their role. In other words, you're not just doing something out of obligation. Being able to treat the mentee with respect, and sometimes the challenge there is they may not behave respectfully at that point, because something you may have to help them with. A skilled teacher. I encourage anyone that's going to be a mentor, if you don't already have some actual teaching skills that you have learned, pedagogy, some things like that, it's a good idea to take some time for that. And responsibility. A key thing for any leadership roles, such as mentor, is a willingness to take extreme responsibility for the well-being success of who you're working with. Non-judgmental. We have our own perspectives and we have our own cultures. One of the things that if you're going to mentor in an international setting, make sure that you understand that culture and that you don't do things even accidentally that come across as judgmental. And then expertise. Okay, if you're mentoring in a specific career area or in a particular professional area, that you have the knowledge, the skill to be able to pass it along. And of course, taking pride in what you do, very important. And then those were the characteristics. Did that review those things to your satisfaction there, Nada?
Yes, I am. Thank you
Okay.
a lot, Dr. Kevin, because really I want to repeat that that is very necessary. These 3 days we are going through this program, and I want to know really, will we get all that? Can we be a good listener? And for this, I think this pedagogic is very important, because I think that many teachers, professors don't have that in the nature, that is very important. No, I really think that everybody cannot be a good professor and not a good educator. He don't have that in his nature, and I think that he can't because he can't learn that.
Very good comment. Thank you. All right.
Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
Okay. what has been the most difficult aspect of being in a mentoring relationship thus far?
Okay, I don't know that there's one thing for everybody. I can only address it from my perspective. Again, the challenge for me is learning to be a better listener. We're trained to talk, we're trained to give out, we're trained to share, but especially in a mentoring role, being quiet. And again, because of my tendency towards being a bit ADD, my mind's going all the time. And I have to, what I tell my students sometimes is one of the ways I do it. I have military training, and there's a certain position in the military you assume when you're standing in a group. And sometimes I have to get in that physical position and look at the person speaking and just make myself stop. And again, that's a little counter to being a professor, a teacher, whatever, is to stop and listen and observe.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure. My pleasure. All right. Other questions? Go ahead. I see.
I would like to make a contribution. I would like to share some experiences here on that empathy and connecting with your mentee. I've been working on the issue on line of child development and safety for several years, and that gets me working with parents. And many a times I mentor young children, very young ones, on life skills. And talking about connecting with your mentee now, I know that many times, if I don't get down to childhood, try to reflect, put myself back, like as I'm a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, and put myself in their shoes. It is only at that point that I actually get to understand, connect with them, tell stories at their own level, and they will be free to interact with me. So I understand it very well when you say that that empathy is very necessary, and the children, if they know when you are connected. They know when you are being artificial. They understand it when you are there with them, and you see it's going to flow, and they will trust you. So today I found myself with children telling me things they will never tell their parents, things they don't tell their classroom teachers. And by the way, here in Nigeria, I've taken the order of the informal teacher. That's what I go with. So I agree with you. It is very important to get connected with every particular mentee, because no two people are the same. And we have to understand that. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful session.
Well, thank you for that addition. And back to Dr. Pratik's question about what do you consider before becoming a mentor? That is certainly the age or situation of the mentee is a consideration. One of the things I know about myself, and this is a little odd as a grandparent of 5 grandchildren, I know that my strength is not going to be working with 5 and 6-year-olds because just what you observed, it's difficult for me to get down and be a kid again. So I know for me, my strength is going to be high school students or adults rather than children. So that's a consideration. I observe people that can get down on the floor and become a kid and play. And it's such a gift. It really is. But I don't have that one. So that's another consideration. What age group are you going to work well with? Okay. Others? Great conversation, by the way. And as a mentor, this is what you're after. Ultimately, covering the topic step by step has value, but the engagement is such a key. And this is important as a mentor. Okay. Comments, questions? You guys are adding so much to this conversation. It's really great.
Good one.
Yeah, is there anyone else?
Good one.
Yeah, I could see there is name Kiran. Please speak.
Yeah, good afternoon and good evening to all. So my question is, what motivates you to succeed as a mentor?
What motivates me to succeed as a mentor? The biggest thing for me, again, early in my career, I experienced what I call a light bulb moment. Okay.
Yeah.
When you're working with someone and you're trying to help them understand something, and you've explained it 3 or 4 times in different ways, and you see that look when they go, oh, now I understand. Okay. And that for me is the real motivator, is to see that light go on, the eyes light up, that facial expression, and people really grasping it, because then you know you've connected and transferred. That's my motivation. Not enough. There were days there wasn't enough money in the world for me to be continuing to teach. There were days I would question myself, now, why am I doing this? And then I remember seeing those facial expressions, watching someone learn, watching someone grow. That's for me, the great motivator.
Mm.
I want to tell something else because our great trainer, Dr. Kevin, mentioned that last week he had another program. I am really happy that I was a participant from that big, great training program when our Dr. Kevin was mentoring and was teaching us how to be a great leader. So today, mentoring, I think that leadership also, but when somebody asks us, who are you a leader? I think that all we educators are leaders, but we don't have all the skills we need. And that is continuous. That is a process which is continuing with this mentoring. That is why we need this program, and we need to be mentored to brush all that skills that we need to be a leader educator.
Yes. I even, for any of you interested, I will share. I have an article called An Accidental Leader. And what we miss is that we are in leadership roles without the title of leader. And when we begin to understand that and apply principles of leadership, it makes a remarkable difference. I know as a teacher, it was a game changer in how I taught, how I reacted, and the connection with my students. So thank you for that, Nada. I appreciate. I am honored that you came back around a second time to have to listen to me. Thank you.
Yes, but I said I'm listening a new thing, because this is something after that. If you want to, how can you be a leader if you don't if you are not a mentor, and if you don't go through this process of learning?
Very much so. Very much so.
Dr. Kevin, I would like to add on something to this. What question was asked? I will not speak about the any process or anything like that. But I, being the educator, I can only say that as an educator, my students, they look at me for everything that I do. They follow me blindly, right?
Yeah.
And for them, their educator is the ultimate. Whatever he or she says, they only do that. They don't even listen to the parents. So I feel every educator should have all the possible skills of the mentor to have a better teaching learning process, and we will get the better outcomes. So this is what I feel.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
That is what is known as Guru Shishya tradition.
Yes, Pratik sir.
Yes, it's really a key component. The power of a leader, by the way, that we so often miss is that of role modeling. And the responsibility, or the scary part of that, is, like you said, anyone we're teaching, they're looking at us, and if we make a misstep and don't take responsibility for it, we have pushed them in the wrong direction. So it's both a blessing and a curse, because we're not perfect. And but yes, you're right. We're a role model, and that's powerful and can be powerfully good.
Actually, mentoring is not for everybody. It's for special people.
Yes,
People,
yes.
people that their heart are pure, people that are willing to serve, people that are generous in their gifts. Not for everybody. It's for special people. You must be a special person before you can take that mentorship. Otherwise, if you are not special, nobody will listen to you. If they listen to you, they will not follow. Before you know, you will just be somebody who is not flowing. They will not understand you. They will not even listen. So you must be person that is
Yes.
that is very, very enthusiastic in knowing things. Person that is special. If you don't have that quality, sorry, nobody will listen to you. They will not follow you. You must be a mirror. You must be somebody who is a good communicator, a good leader, not just leader. There are so many people that are leaders, but they're not good leaders because of what they bring on board. You must be unique, and when you are being unique, that means you are being guided. Somebody is guiding you. Who is that person? God, the Almighty, is guiding you for you to be a special mentor. It's not just for that, not for ordinary people, not for everybody. For special people, you must be unique. You must be special. Thank you very much.
Being a mentor is not for the faint of heart. Because if you understand the responsibility that goes with being a mentor, some people are going to say, hey, I'm just not ready to take on that level of responsibility, because you have such an opportunity to impact a life. And if you're not prepared and not willing to take it on, well, you can actually harm someone along the way. So yeah, it's definitely not for everybody, and that's okay. There are things that other people do that not for me, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm okay, and don't have the expectation I got to be everything for everybody. So yeah, definitely consider, are you ready to learn and do what it takes to be an effective mentor? Good one. Good comment, Charles. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Miss Babita have raised the hand.
Okay.
Miss Babita from India. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Sir, I must say indeed, congratulations on your lovely inputs. I was so impressed and highly bowled over by your conversation today. And the way you have spoken, it was such a simple, I can say a simple language and very effectively taught. I just wanted to know, a mentor, is he supposed to be a very subjective person or an objective person? Like if I'm a teacher and I have that 45 minutes duration in the class, and if I go in a subjective case, then it will take me a very long time to cover everything as a mentor. So how do I, go about? Is he supposed to be a subjective person or an objective person? So in a classroom, I think we cannot handle that situation very easily. So I want you to, highlight about and enlighten us about this, please.
Well, you raise an interesting point, because as a teacher in a classroom setting, yes, we are have to have objectivity and necessary standards, and even some disconnect from a subjective or personal standpoint. The value of being a mentor, though, is you have, and in fact need to be ready to be either objective or at moments to be subjective, and knowing how to keep the balance between the two, because there are moments where we have to, as a mentor, go less objective, allow some emotional concepts to be involved in order to connect. But we never want to get away from a level of objectivity so that we don't go down the wrong road. Okay.
Exactly.
In fact, the teacher I replaced when I was coming into school, unfortunately, in that setting, had let his objectivity go and changed the relationship to his students, and it cost him his job. So balance, boy, I don't have time. We don't have time for me to go into it, but understanding what balance is really about, we need to be able to be very subjective. We also need to be very objective. And what we have to do is hold on to both of it and know how to go between them. When we need to be more objective, when we need to be more subjective. So The good news is that with a mentoring situation versus a classroom situation, we have more opportunity to go both ways in that spectrum. And I find certain satisfaction of being able to get into the subjective at times, again, within boundaries with a mentee, but you can never lose sight of the objectivity because that maintains proper relationship.
Exactly. Good one.
So I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Kind enough. Very good.
Yes.
Fantastic. Highly impressive,
Perfect.
sir. Thank you.
All right. Other questions, comments?
Someone else also have raised the hand.
ma'am.
Yeah, Miss Shivani Patil. Shivani ma'am, you are requested to kindly ask your question.
Good evening, everyone. My question is, what are the 3 A's of mentorship according to you, sir?
Repeat your question, please.
What are the 3 3 A's of mentorship according to you, sir?
The 3 A's of mentorship, I'm not sure in that context. Explain what you mean by 3 A's.
A moment, I'll just tell you.
Okay.
Just a minute.
By the way, another thing in mentoring is sometimes it's easy to try to act as if we understood the question. And in our minds, we're going, what in the world are they asking? It's okay to say, please clarify, rather than to respond without having a good context.
Hi, hello, sir.
Yes, I would like to say on this, mentor should be available, analytical, and an active listener. These are the 3 A's according to me.
I got you. Okay. I now I understand what you're referring to.
The same thing, but my baby was disturbing me a little, so now it is.
Okay, the 3 A's are, let's see, get back to attitude. Okay, I'm referring back to my notes just to make sure I speak correctly. Bear with me a moment. I'm going back. If you can't tell, I'm looking back through. Dr. Pratik, if you would, you had it on the tip of your tongue. Say it again.
Yeah. A mentor should be available, analytical, and active listener.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. By the way, one of the values of engaging with your mentee or students is sometimes they can say something in a different way than you say it, that others will then get it. So certainly it doesn't mean that as the mentor or teacher that we have to have all the answers. Just be willing to allow others that have the answer share that.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions, comments? And if we're up against the clock, I'm here to be available, but once we get to a time that we need to stop, Madam Moderator, I'll allow you to close it out at that point. But I'm here, love talking to people and helping.
I think, sir, no one is there. So, anyone? Any questions from anyone's side?
Babita, are you raising your hand or are you just acknowledging?
Oh, she had asked, and fine, it must be by mistake.
Okay.
Fine. Now I think we are at the end of the session. If you permit, Dr. Kevin. Yes. Before we end, I would like you all to see the chats. We have shared the attendance form for the day. So kindly fill in that. And I'm very much sure each one of you must be inspired to be a part of this enriching session by Dr. Kevin on the Mentor Development Program. So I express my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for being the wonderful mentees, for being the wonderful audience. Thank you, Dr. Kevin, sir, for the wonderful session and for sparing your valuable time. I'm sure that each one of us know by now what the mentor is in details. Dear Piyush, sir, Though you are not here, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude towards you. Sir, you are a true source of inspiration for each one of us. Thank you for being strong support and guiding us in the right direction and conducting the beautiful sessions like mentor development program. Thank you so much once again, everyone. Stay tuned, stay connected. See you all tomorrow to know more about the mentor. Till then, be safe, be at home. Bye. Take care. See you tomorrow at 7:30. Just
Thank you, everyone.
before you all leave, I would like to have a pic. Okay, so please start your videos. Please start your videos. Oh, and here we go. Wonderful. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye. Good night. Good evening. Good
Bye.
afternoon once again. Bye.
Good luck.
Bye.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Bye.